Massive raid at MacArthur Park by federal agents. It led to LA Mayor Karen Bass showing up and asking for them to leave. Not long after she did that, they did. I spoke with the mayor at LA City Hall late this afternoon. Mayor Bass, when you first started to see the images of what was happening in MacArthur Park, what went through your mind?
Well, I was horrified. I mean, what went through my mind was those occasions when I would travel overseas and see a city or a country under siege by their military in preparation for a coup. That's the imagery that I had in my mind.
And you went there.
And I went
Walk us through what happened there.
Well, sure. I went there because I wanted to know who was in charge so that I could find out what was the mission and how to get them to leave, because chaos was beginning. And of course, you know, when something that egregious as having it look like there are troops on the ground, you know that could create a crowd, and then we could have a lot of problems. So instead of solving problems, they're creating problems, and I think that's really egregious.
The Border Patrol chief that you talked to on the phone told Fox later, basically, we're not leaving.
The federal government is not leaving LA. I don't work for Karen Bass. The federal government doesn't work for Karen Bass. We're going to be here till that mission's accomplished, as I said, and better get used to us now, because this is going to be normal very soon.
And Mayor Bass basically doesn't have any control over what we do.
But just think about that. You know, what happened today, you had a group of kids who were in summer camp that then had to leave the playing field because the troops were coming through, and now they have to stay inside. They missed their activities for the day because they wanted to shelter them from the shock of ice. And so the problem is that they say that it's going to continue. We need to get used to it. Continue what? Continue what? The reign of fear and terror on our city toward no end? I don't even know if anybody was detained. I'm not even sure they had a clear purpose to be there other than a show of force.
Well, they've said that MacArthur Park is run by MS-13, that there are gangs, that there's all sorts of problems, drug use there.
And you know what? We have a police department. We have a police department that is clearly...
You think they're doing a good job there, though?
Well, I absolutely think they are, and we've been working together along with the council person. These problems can't be solved overnight. The park is in much better situation than it was. We've had a dramatic drop in violent crime. And so what problem were they here to solve? We didn't ask for them to come. Chief McDonald didn't say, hey, we need some help. Nobody asked for their help. So what was the point?
We were supposed to be talking about the 6-month anniversary of the Palisades fire. We were supposed to be interviewing at an event that you weren't able to go to because of all of this.
This is
correct. Since you didn't get to give the presentation, what was the top-line presentation you were trying to give?
Well, let me just say, too, that later in the week we are going to do a report card so we can say specifically. But, you know, for those people that are still out of their homes, it doesn't matter that I say that things have been going at lightning speed because they're still out of their homes. But having said that, and I think the governor documented it well, I was able to see a few minutes of the coverage in terms of the first phase and phase 1 and phase 2. The EPA, FEMA, as well as the Army Corps of Engineers have just done exceptional work. And you know, on our end with our one-stop rebuilding center that we're constantly improving as we get feedback from people and find out their problems, we resolve the problems. And so people are moving through very quickly. We have individuals with over 200 plans that have been approved. People are already beginning to build, and it's going to be thousands of people, hopefully, coming forward. But individual families have to make the decision as to when they rebuild and when they when they submit their plans. That's an individual decision.
But do you think the speed of permitting needs to pick up?
Well, anything that we can do to move faster and faster, we want to do that. So I think we have been going very fast, but again, we are always trying to identify weaknesses so that we can address them. And I will tell you that as I've gone out and talked to people from the Palisades, I hear about problems now and then, and when we hear about them, we address them.
And when we talked about this a few months ago, you said you were investigating what happened and potentially holding people accountable for that.
In terms of the fires.
Yeah, what does that look like? Where are
Well,
we at
we're
on
waiting for the after-action report, which I believe is going to become available very, very soon. Then there's the other report that the governor is doing, which will take much longer. So we will hear. But obviously, one individual has already been held accountable.
Yeah, he says that report's coming next month, by the way. The governor just said that to me.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good. Okay.
So sort of bottom line, there's a lot of chaos happening right now. What's your main message to
Well,
people?
let me just say, there are not chaos on our streets, okay? Because what happened today is over. But, you know, again, I think we have to stick together as Angelenos, and we need to support those individuals that now are afraid to come out of their homes. They don't want to go to work. They don't want to go to school. We need to do what we can to support them. And by the way, there's a number of different groups that are doing that. And I think that we're fortunate to have a very sophisticated, established immigrant rights system in our city.
Mayor Bass, thank you for the time on such a busy day.
Welcome.
Really appreciate it.
Very welcome.
Thank you very much.
What I think was lost in all of this in the reporting, and you did bring it up, was this idea of the actual target of the raid.
Right.
And they were reportedly going after MS-13 gang members.
And there's been a lot of problems in MacArthur Park for many years that have been criticized on a lot of different levels, but clearly it didn't seem like any of that was addressed today. You just had a lot of people finger pointing. And it's interesting because, you know, Mayor Bass did work closely with the Trump administration on the fires. And so you see these two examples that are very different. On one where they were in constant contact, and now on the immigration stuff where it does not seem like there's hardly any communication at all, and you see what happens.
Yeah, when she was here in studio not long ago with you one-on-one, you asked her about the communication with the Trump administration. She said that she had reached out and not necessarily heard back, so it sounds like it's still radio silence between the two.
Not a lot of communication.
Yeah, okay. All right.